We play and call it work.
Hey there, MiniWarGamers. Quirk here from MiniWarGaming.com to give you another episode of Reroll. We've got Steve with us.
Hey.
And we've also got a guest in today, Netless Josh.
That guy.
Him. And today we're going to be talking about gaming etiquette and just the whole general thing that comes along with that. So we're going to be talking about pretty much anything that really affects the game without being the game itself. So we do have a list of things that have kind of gotten under our skin and bothered us, and we're kind of just going to get the ball rolling. Steve, there's one thing that was particularly you wanted to talk about.
Well, there's a bunch of things. I'll go in general what we're talking about. We're talking about gamer etiquette. We're talking about the way you measure. When is it okay to pick up the model and move them just 4 inches? You know what your 4 inches is. Yeah, a lot of stuff like that that could annoy your opponent, and they don't always show it. Mm-hmm. So you kind of like just take it, or walking up to somebody else's table or somebody else's studio and giving tips on what they're doing, what they picked for their army, or their general strategies. Everybody has their own separate and personal different level of all what is okay and what is not okay. Mm-hmm. And talk about the overlap. What are the things that what are the things that bother you the most? What are the things that bother you the most?
Things that bother me a lot is when I play War Machine and somebody comes up and who's like basically a third party to the game and comes up and goes, "Oh, that's a really cool model," and picks it up. That drives me insane.
I've actually done that. 2 battle reports. I'll walk into a room. Wow, dude, that looks really cool. You might have to touch this. Oh, let me put that back. I'll move train. Here's a cool hedge. I've done that to another studio I walked into a battle report and I'm just playing around with the terrain stuff, not thinking, oh, this all is very precise in the game of War Machine.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So, yeah, he does it. A lot.
Not a lot. I mean, probably a lot.
Enough to be annoying. Hi.
Enough that you realize you're doing it.
Yeah, no, nothing was been doing it. Absolutely. Yeah. So it's one of those things that's the worst one for you?
It's something that annoys me.
Yeah. I know I used to do something. Actually, I'm not going to say I used to do something. I know I've been made aware of something I used to do, and I hope I don't do it anymore. I'll take my measuring tape out. I'll put it over a tank, and I'll go move the tank. Just like that. 6 inches. It was never intentional. And the first time, Matt was the final one who actually told me I used to do that. I'm like, oh, really? Did I really do that? Like, I would move my tank, I'd move the measuring tape with me, so I'm getting a bunch of extra inches. Unintentional. Mm-hmm. This type of stuff that you try to...
Or if you can't fit through an area, you just move the building out of the way so the tank
That
fits.
actually made it onto a battle report.
I know it did.
So I'm recording a battle report, and I'm trying to move a tank between 2 buildings, and you can see me clear as day on the battle report just cheating. Where I'm talking, and I can't talk and chew gum apparently, or talk and walk, or any of these 2 things. I'm recording, I'm narrating what I'm doing, and as my land area doesn't fit between 2 buildings, I'm just talking and like, doop, 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 move the building, and then move on. Click. Like, not even hiding it. It was obviously subconscious, unintentional. I didn't realize I was doing it, but I did it.
Blatant cheating.
Blatant cheating.
Yeah. So, another thing that kind of came up, we have a list of things that we kind of talked about. We were like, stop talking about it. Talk about it on the reroll.
We'll record it, yeah.
So we'll record it. And one of them is Wysiwyg.
That's
how he just sighed
Yeah.
because he knows exactly where this is going. When it comes to things that are Wysiwyg, how precise do you try to be? And when someone's not precise, how much does it screw up your game? So the example that I was giving is when, for example, I've been playing the Space Marines and we didn't have enough missile launchers.
No, it was plasma.
We didn't have enough plasma, so we swapped out the plasma with some grav guns because they looked fairly similar. And I remember playing and going through it and being like, okay, there's my 4 bolters, and I have a grav gun. I don't remember putting a grav gun in, but he has the grav gun, and then went to shoot it. And
so you go to play as if you had a grav gun.
Exactly.
And you don't realize until too late.
Yeah, and at that point it was one of those things. Because the thing is, I like to play very Wysiwyg. I magnetize all my stuff so that every time I bring something on the board, it has exactly what I gave it. But then there's been times where I do stuff like that, or you play...
Last week we had a battle report go over where you and I played, we did the White Scars review, and I was playing White Scars. We don't have a lot of White Scars, so I'm proxying in some of the Green Marines, and I'm using land speeders with heavy bolters, but we only have ones modeled with multi-meltas, so I thought they were multi-meltas for the game. Even though I made my list and I put in heavy bolters, it happens.
Yep.
I mean, Josh and I played a game, I think, last week as well, where we're trying, like, he played Space Wolf for the first time, trying a new army out. I played Astro Militarum for the first time in a long time, trying new stuff out. And you try to do Wysiwyg as best you can, so you don't throw off your own, what's the word I'm looking for? You just don't screw up your own stuff. Like, what does this actual have? Like, it's hard enough trying to remember all the rules and stuff for your army, let alone what you actually
What you actually brought. Well, I mean, that's where I I don't mind people proxying stuff. I don't like to do it myself the best I can. My rule of thumb is if there's any proxies, you must have a list, a hard copy list there. If you don't have a hard copy list, sorry, I don't proxy.
Yep.
Like if I need to ask you for clarification on what it was, on anything behind the very most casual, friendly game, it's not cool. It doesn't work. And for me, if it's a majority, like use the Space Wolves as an example. Long Fangs. I had 5 last cannons in the squad. We had 4 last cannon models, 1 multi-melta.
Yeah.
It's 5 last cannons. It's not, well, the last cannons count as this,
Yeah.
and the multi-melta counts as that.
It was a
There's
minor
not
one, easy to
multiple
keep track of.
layers.
Yeah.
So,
And that's what you said is actually very good. We all kind of do that here in the studio, where we always print off our army lists
Yep.
on Army Builder or another program. It just makes things clear and easy because you play so many games, and sometimes you bring Spirit Stones, sometimes you don't. Do I need them this time? Oh, I better go check my army list. Is it there? It's there. Yes or no. Plain as day. You can't say, oh, I think I had that.
Yep.
And there's no confusion ever. So yeah, those are one of those things. Wysiwyg as little as possible, but when you have to, print it out.
Yep.
I agree.
Yep.
Now, have you ever had it where, because I've had this happen a couple times with the orcs, where you're playing against somebody and they aren't playing Wysiwyg, where they'll have for whatever it is, I'm going to just come up with a general example here, but they'll have a flamer as on the model. And so you play it as it's the flamer where you don't want to get close to the model because you don't want to get hit by that flame weapon, but they are proxying it as
A melted
a
gun,
melted
plasma
gun, whatever,
rag gun,
whatever
yeah.
else, and it's completely changed the way you've played because you look at that model and go, has a flamer, I'm going to stay a good distance away from that, and then you find out later on that no, it's being proxied
Yeah,
as a
no,
last cannon or
it
as
is-
a last gun or whatever.
I think it is proper, I guess the word is etiquette, to, if you are proxying for whatever reason, you go over and you tell your opponent. Like you have to tell them and almost remind him
you point everything out and you make your written list available.
and remind
Your
him.
hard copy list.
If you have a couple of proxies, not a big deal. If you have an army of Mark of Dave, you kind of gotta play. It can
Yeah.
get really confusing. Now, don't get me wrong. If you see a new formation or a new bunch of models, you want to try them out. You're gonna proxy this 5-man tactical squad. They're gonna be Vanguard veterans.
Yeah.
That's
But the
totally
thing is-
fine. Absolutely,
Yeah.
try it out.
And the thing is, when you do that, usually when you're playing against your opponent, it's usually a casual game. You're not going to go to a tournament and be like, I've never played this before, but I want to test it out. So I'm going to proxy this tactical squad as, fill in the blank.
Yeah.
And usually when you do say I'm going to proxy this as whatever it is, you spend most of the time going, no, remember this is this.
Yep.
And it's more you're reminding yourself than your opponent so that you don't get mixed up because you're used to your models.
Well, oddly enough, when something is so different than what it's supposed to be, it's almost easy to remember.
Yeah.
Yep.
Is when you forget that your land speeder has a heavy bolter, not a multi-melta, because it's so commonly seen with multi-meltas.
Yeah, or your
It's
grab
a
gun
little
is a
ones, yeah.
multi-melta.
See, I actually, when I'm putting together some bikes for an army of mine, I you know this, I had to negotiate some deals with you too. I made sure I got every grav gun bit or grav cannon bit I needed. I scoured eBay and everything.
I got an army for a grab gun.
Yeah, he's a tough negotiator. But yeah, I needed some grav guns, and I wanted to make sure I was never gonna proxy, so my opponent always knew that. My bike squads have 2 grav guns apiece, so yeah, I do my best when I can, but you know.
And well, you've seen with us building the Horus Heresy stuff, like I'm magnetizing everything
Yes.
I can.
So almost too much.
Okay, shush, leave me alone.
Okay, so Quirk is
He likes magnets.
He does.
I like putting magnets.
He's a fairly good modeler. He's pretty good at it. He takes his time. He doesn't rush it. He magnetizes everything very nicely, very smoothly, very cleanly. Magnets are never lopsided, or they're always pretty good. But there's one he puts together a Sakaran. I think it's from Venator.
Yeah.
The one that doesn't have a blast.
Yeah. Yeah. Again, sorry, that was my bad. I read Ordnance and thought it Ordnance last, but.
So he magnetizes a lot of things. It probably makes it a lot easier for painting. He magnetizes.
It will be
things-
easier for
yeah.
painting.
He magnetized things that I personally never would have, but I see the value to it. Like he can take his thing fully apart. But there's one in particular that's pretty funny. He magnetizes a heavy bolter to a cradle.
And then magnetized
And
the
magnetizes
cradle.
the cradle to the hull. The heavy bolter's in 3 pieces. Why can't you just glue one of them together? Sometimes you get a little overzealous, like we all can. No.
Hey Steve, how's those Iron Warriors coming? You know, those Iron Warriors you've been working on for so long? Those Iron Warriors that you put so much effort into fighting the hazard stripes? The Iron Warriors that you put a whole lot of effort into making the bases look really nice? How's Portoramo coming? Have you started Portoramo? Oh, I'm sure people are gonna love it.
No, yeah, I spent a good portion of today converting a single special character. And ultimately, I didn't have to spend as much time as I did. But yeah, we can all spend more time on things than we need to every now and then. But yeah, it's fun.
So now that leads into another what you see is what you get.
Yeah.
Proxying a character.
Okay.
So you're not using the official special character. Does he have a model?
No.
Okay, so that's different.
So
But
actually,
if he did have an actual model, so like for my army, doing Night Lords, running Sevatar,
Yep.
the model's really cool, but I want something different than everybody else's, so I'll be using a stand-in conversion. That's appropriate. He's got the right
Sevatar.
stuff,
Yeah, he looks-
but it's not the official Sevatar model. So where do you guys feel that falls in for what you see is what you get?
Okay, so on that, see, is it Sevatar? No, but then it is as well. So personally, I wouldn't convert a character that has an existing model, unless the existing model is really bad. But I'm not going to fault you for doing it. I
Yep.
get what you actually put together is pretty nice. It's actually really nice. So yeah, I get it. Now I've converted 2 characters for picking Iron Warrior. So I have Aramis Gold and I think it's about Kerr Valen. So Aramis Gold is a Terminator with a Nuncio Vox, a Multi-Melta, and a Chain Fist. So that model for me is Gold or my Siegebreaker.
Yep.
It's multi-purpose for me now. I've also taken a Praetor body, put on a Warsmith backpack, scratched up Iron Warrior face is what I'm talking about. Scratched up the face of a head, gouged out an eye, and I've made a Valen model. He has the Relic Blade, he has his Volkite Charger, he has his backpack, but I will use them as 3 different things.
Yep.
As a Warsmith, as a special character Valen, or as just a Forge Lord. Now, there's no models for those 2 special characters, so I'm okay with doing that.
Yep.
But I like when a character can be multiple things and still be Wysiwyg.
Okay. Now, going almost the complete opposite with that, but still staying in the whole character genre there. What about using models that aren't part of the game? Like, for example, I have my Kabuki Alfarius. So you can see the model, you know it's Alfarius. It's not actually Alfarius, they call it like Hydra or something, but he's Alfarius.
Yeah, so, okay, the model, Alfarius 1 doesn't have a model.
No. But I need a model for the game because I want to use him, and this is the closest I could get.
It looks good.
Mm-hmm.
It fits the scale.
Mm-hmm.
It is the best option right now, so yeah, it's definitely fine.
Now using that, but then take, for example, somebody wants to do, Dark Elves in fantasy.
Yep.
There is a company that makes Dark Elves that are designed for that game, but they are showpiece quality, and when you actually get them, they are basically, they're display models for all purposes. Looking at them, you can go, yeah, those look like Dark Elves, but they're not the actual models. The scale might be a little bit off.
Totally fine. Absolutely fine.
Okay.
Totally fine.
Now, you wouldn't see that messing with somebody if they were to do that and say, like, oh, well, I'm going to use this for whatever.
Okay.
And it's somebody who's not, say it's somebody who's new to the game and has no experience with any aftermarket or third-party miniatures.
I can't speak for everybody and every player out there,
Mm-hmm.
but I obviously play a lot of games.
Mm-hmm.
What I mean is I play like many games. I play a bunch of games. So I'm used to seeing a lot of variants of models. I can see everything all the time. And every now and then, a guy will come in with an army that's very converted.
Mm-hmm.
And I kind of like it. Like, I'm not saying I want to fight against converted armies all the time.
Yep.
As long as you have no problem. What does that represent again? Okay, yeah. I'm okay with it. If it looks good, for me, if it looks good, is all that really matters.
Yeah.
If you're converting a bunch of, have you seen the old Necron army made from sprue bits? It's just leftover sprue bits cut in Stickman. Stuff like that. Like, if you're gonna do that, no, I'm not gonna play. I don't want to play that.
Yeah.
But if you make it look good, absolutely, I'll play it.
Okay.
Yeah.
But then you get people who, and you'll see this mostly with orcs, because I've seen a lot
Yeah.
of orc. Yeah,
Yeah.
he's already giggling at this. Where you see people who are just like, oh, this is my battle wagon. For example, my battle wagons,
Yeah.
the Land Raiders.
Okay, the one battle wagon you've been working on forever. I know you haven't had time to. I'm not faulting you for that. This is one 3/4 way converted battle wagon Quirk has.
It's the Morkanaut.
Yeah,
Yeah.
converted to a battle wagon. That thing, I really wish you can find some time to. I know there's a bunch going on. Finish it when you can, because I want to see that. That's gonna be really cool.
Mm-hmm.
But I think Orc lends very. If I were to play Orc, I would Orcs. I would play with just the models that come from the kits,
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
because that's me. That's
Yeah.
what I do. But if somebody wants to make, we have a guest comes in regularly. His name is Cody Brew. That's not his handle.
Yeah.
You've seen him. Most of you know who he is. He's got some beautifully converted, slapdash together miniatures and tanks and everything, and it works for the orcs. Do it if you're good at it. It's awesome. By all means.
So, and that's what I mean. But the thing is, you'll see, and not ripping on this in any way, shape, or form. I think it's fantastic. But I've seen people take the Necron croissant. I don't know what it's actually called.
Night sight.
Yeah. And turn it into a docket jet.
Yeah, why not?
Sure.
You see, it makes sense for them. Their fluff
It's thematic. It works.
Yeah.
It works. But the thing is, passing by and looking at the table, the first thought was, oh, Necrons. And now thinking back to it, that would be the thought I have every time I look at that piece. I'll be like, I'm playing orcs. I would look at that and be like, I'm playing Necrons. No, that's been converted.
Really?
Because of just like the level of conversion that was.
Well, I mean,
to
if there was legitimate effort put into it.
Yeah.
So I remember because I was laughing as soon as you said orcs. There was one guy in the gaming group that I used to play with years and years ago, and he just put no effort into his orc conversions. It was all literally Fisher Price.
No, so I don't like that.
And I mean,
there
was
people that make those joke armies like the My Little Pony armies or stuff like that, where people take the.
Well, I mean, there's joke armies, but I mean, for me, if people put effort into it, if it was just he just didn't feel like doing it, so he went to the dollar store, bought a bunch of, or he went to Goodwill, bought a bunch of Fisher Price toys. Orc army.
Mean, we have to put effort into these games. So I like my point to put at least some. I'm not saying you have to put,
Oh, it is going to be the most amazing army in the world,
Exactly. Just try.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be well painted, but yeah, put effort in, because I find, and I use that guy as an example because he didn't know his rules, didn't know his tactics, didn't make army lists right. He put no effort into the hobby.
See, that would frustrate me. It would take some of the enjoyment of the game that I'm playing with him for me. Now, you said you can't stand looking at the Night Scythe and the Orc army because it throws you off. Now, let's say a Space Marine player is proxying a Night Scythe to be a, whatever their flyers are called, the Raptors or whatever. No, that would throw me off. What's that? No, that I wouldn't like at all. When an Orc player does it, it makes sense. They with their fluff, and I like the fluff. They've looted it, they've Orcified it, and they made it their own.
Well, that could be fun,
Yes, it works for them.
Because I've had every army under the sun. So I had a very small orc army for a time, and my buddy that played Space Marines, I stole his land speeder.
Cube.
To Orcify?
And I Orcified it. So after 2 weeks of him freaking out, not being able to find his miniature, because I didn't tell him I took it, I showed up to a game, and it was Orcified as a little war track.
And is it still yours?
Oh, it's still floating around. Oh no! Well, it was painted. It was done. Like it was fully converted. Like I put a lot.
Did he have it painted?
Not well.
Oh come on! You can't make that judgment. Did you ever have a deodorant land speeder?
No, I never had a deodorant, and it wasn't a land speeder. It was a tank. It was the first 40K tank.
Was it a tank? Okay.
Yeah, it was like a hover tank.
So some of the older guys will know what that means. Some of the younger kids won't know, but there used to be It
was a guide in a White Dwarf on how to take a stick of deodorant and turn it into a tank.
And that was back before there was vehicle kits or anything. It wasn't just, hey, by the way, you can do this on the cheap. It was, we don't make vehicles, but check this thing out. So Google that. Check out the deodorant tank.
That's pretty good. If somebody put the time in to scratch build kits.
Okay.
Lee, for example, our painter, is in the next room right now. He scratched built a Thunderhawk, and unless you put them side by side, you can't tell the difference.
No, I never realized.
Yeah, you can see some of the bits they use once you know.
Yeah.
We've had an Apocalypse game here not too long ago, it was just in the summer, and one of the guys came in with a bunch of scratch built stuff, and I couldn't tell unless I got really close, because he took the time to build it right and paint it nice.
Right.
Totally okay, I'm okay with that.
Yep.
But then you see some people who take a plant potter, turn it upside down and stick some googly eyes on it, and it's a Stompa.
I'm almost okay with that, though. The Planet Pot Stompa. How do you guys feel about Angry Eon and Pro
Turbo? Yeah.
Vesuvius?
Okay, you need to explain what these are.
So, I don't actually know how it started. I got a text one night from, was it you?
Yeah.
You guys were here in the studio doing whatever? Okay, so I got a text one night
saying...
I
don't know where I think I was looking for just alternate models from other companies.
Oh, we're looking for
you were looking for,
bits,
yeah.
Actually,
I was trying to find Volkite bits. And I came across a company which does... they don't call them Primarchs,
But they're
But-
so clearly obvious.
Yeah, with
The
I mean, but
GoBot version of a
the
Primarch.
names are the names are hilarious. So, Angron. Well, there's an Angry Eon. There's no
Perturabo.
Perturabo, but there's Pro Turbo.
Turbo.
That was the one that got me.
And clearly they're like sculpted to be somewhat resemblant to. They're not the same model by any means, but
Well, they're not
Pro
an
Turbo
exact
has a
copy. Like it's a
hammer.
different. It's not
Yeah.
the same stance, or,
Yeah, it's
but it's
It's
completely
almost,
different.
it's almost like a different art form.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's completely different. I think I'd totally be okay with it. It'd be funny. It's not something I kind of want to buy and put in my army. Just want to buy the real thing, make it look nice.
yeah. Well, the stock photos weren't well painted. I mean, as much as we joke, they might look amazing. Like somebody could put a lot of effort into it and make it look really cool.
But it's when a company does an obvious attempt at not a re-sculpt or recast, but just doing their own version of something. Are you okay with it? I am.
Yeah, sure.
As long as you're not trying to claim it's something that it's not.
Oh, 100%.
I wanna-
mean,
I wa-
it's,
I
it's
kinda wanna
different.
buy
I can
a Pro Turbo.
appreciate. Well, I mean, he's going to be different than everybody else's Perturabo.
Well,
I mean, that was almost the thing with. I look at Sevatar. I mean, it wasn't buying somebody else's. It was a scratch build kit, or like a kit bash. But yeah, Sevatar's cool, but he's a very distinct looking model. I might still pick him up as a showcase, but
yeah.
I don't want to have the same Sevatar as literally everybody else.
I'm also worried about actually putting a Primarch or a Sevatar. Any of the models from Forgeable with a big scenic base.
Yep.
Even though they come with a battle base as well that kind
Yep.
of slides off, I don't really want that on the table to get scratched around.
No,
So I can totally see you. I said buy a Sevatar as a showpiece, throw them on the shelf, put them in a cabinet, nice and clean. But you have your scratch built one, which oddly looks like not oddly. I mean, it looks really good.
it looks great. I love it.
The chain.
I
link is
like the stance a lot better than the actual.
He's just
official.
holding out a couple of heads. He's got his chain glaive in his right hand.
Yep.
What kind of helmet did you use for him? Was it a Raptor helmet?
It was a Raptor helmet. Yeah,
And are you done converting him? Is there any more going on to him?
he might get some spooky, scary bits.
More
more spooky, scary stuff. I don't know. He might get a little bit more to him, but essentially he's done.
So you're having a highly converted army, but everything is pretty much what you see is what you get.
Everything you'll still be able to tell what it is.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, he'll be able to stand in for, if I want to run him as a different character instead of Sevatar.
That's what I
If
like.
I want to run him as well, originally, I mean, he started off as a sergeant.
Yep.
He was just a Terror Squad sergeant. Steve got upset because he looked really cool.
You look too special to be a sergeant.
Right. Yeah.
So it's like, no, you can't just be a sergeant. See, but I get that. See, I'm not a big fan. This is personal. This is not what we should be doing. I don't like buying a special character and then using that model as a regular dude. Like, I'm not going to buy Sevatar and use that model as just a console or a Praetor or something. But other way around, totally fine. You buy this model, you can use him as, you convert him to Sevatar.
Right.
So you can be Sevatar, or you can be just a Praetor, or you can
Yep.
be Centurion.
Yep.
I like that. I'm totally okay with that. I want my models being multiple different things.
Cool.
How do you like your Alfarius? What are you thinking? Are you going to convert any of it? You
No.
bought what's it from? Kabuki?
Kabuki.
Okay, are you going to convert any of it at all?
No.
So you're leaving just like
Just
that?
as it is. The only thing I don't like about it is that it has the shells.
Shells?
It looks like seashells. They're supposed to be dragon scales, but to me they look like seashells.
Oh, really?
Yeah, a little bit.
Okay, well, you just got to paint them.
Yeah, I'm just gonna paint it
Yeah,
up a
make
little
them
bit different.
look.
It has that, and then the backpack has these weird hydras coming off the backpack, and I'm like, it still looks okay. I can live with it.
So if an Alfarius Omegon Primarch does come out, which we know eventually it will,
Hopefully.
would you buy it?
Oh yeah,
Would that be on the table, or would that be just on the cabinet somewhere?
that would be on the table.
Yeah?
Yeah, but
Good.
right now, for the games that we're gonna be playing, I do need something to represent Alfarius. So
You couldn't use the tactical guy?
I couldn't really just be like that.
Yeah, isn't that what that was his thing?
I know.
That was his thing.
I know, but on the table, I'm just like, by the way, that one's Alfarius. It was like, he looks like all the rest. I know.
That's the whole point.
That's
Yeah,
the
that's-
point. But I do need something to represent him on the field for because
When he does reveal himself.
When he does reveal
Yeah.
himself, because the way it works in the game is that you basically write down a piece of paper or just something where Alfarius is hiding, like which unit he's hiding in, and then anytime after turn 1, you can be like, "Boo, I'm
I'm here."
Alfarius. I have arrived," and
Get a bunch of special rules.
tons of special rules. So, but the thing is, you don't have to start them on the board, so I can be like, this tactical squad is just gonna come up your flank, and by the way, Alfarius is in it, and then it's just a bad time. for everybody. Mostly Iron Warriors.
So as you can see, we're clearly 30K in the horsehair seat is still big in our minds. I know we started off with gamer etiquette, and we got back to 30K.
Yeah.
How did we get there?
Well, I think we're just talking about what we're
Well,
using.
that's the-
We're
that's
using
it.
examples
Talking
for
about,
what we're
like,
currently
conversions
working
and
on.
stuff,
Yeah.
so
Oh, when
there's
is it
nothing.
okay? Yeah.
Okay, so going back onto the gaming etiquette and everything like that, one thing that has always bothered me is when someone takes a tape measure and they go to measure 6 inches and they'll start at the front of the base and they end at the back of the base.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think I've ever met someone who realizes they're doing it.
I think that is one of the most common
Yes.
errors or breach of etiquette that we see.
Mm-hmm.
Generally, when you play like...
I mean, it's not as bad as this.
Oh, no, that's pretty bad. Oh, I don't understand. That's bad. I understand how my 6-inch moving tanks are moving so far. But, no, like you said, I don't think anybody notices they're doing it.
No.
So I'm actually going to take notice the next time I do a battle report how I measure them. Because what I think I do is I measure from the center of the model and move the model to the center of the measuring tape at the end. That's what I think I do. Whether I do that, I don't know.
I think we just need a referee for your games from
Yeah.
now on.
Come on, it can't be that bad.
Illegal
Wow.
movement, go back 3 inches,
I'm getting a
still
whistle.
first down.
Yeah, no, actually, it's actually not that
it's harmless.
because,
You know what I mean?
I actually know how I do it actually because I think we're all doing the same. Because we're the camera, I pre-measure, decide where I want to put everything, kind of figure out what my whole movement phase is going to be. Then I mark with my eye a part on the mats we're using.
Yep.
This is how far the thing's going to go. I think every one of us does that now. You do that too, right?
Well, I've been doing that a lot, but I've
Yeah.
had a couple guests in where from playing War Machine to the extent that I have, and I messed with Matt a little bit with it, where we were looking, I did it to you, where you were going to charge me, and you're like, can I make that charge? No, that's 12 inches. You don't know that. And then you measured it. Okay, how'd you do that?
No, I'm entirely convinced that you sit there and you just measure up points on the board.
Oh no,
Before the
I wouldn't
game.
put a passport at all.
No, not in the least bit. No.
Okay.
He knows exactly, yeah.
From this little mark to that little mark is 11.3 inches.
4 or 5.
Oh god.
Okay. Had a guest in a little while ago, and I was doing that a lot, where it was just like, okay, this is 6 inches, this is whatever. He's like, well, you need to measure. I was like, no, from points on the board, from playing War Machine, I can pretty much get it to within like 2 millimeters. And
Wow.
there was someone else in the room, and he goes, okay, fancy pants, from where you're standing, how far is it to the wall? I go, 124 centimeters, or 124 inches.
This story doesn't sound plausible.
You'll probably get an email being like, no, it happened. So, guy takes a tape measure.
We're making you do this on camera.
I'll do it on camera. I will stand somewhere, you point to a wall, and I will guess within a fraction of about 3 inches where it is.
All right, hold on. Before you finish your story, I want you to answer this.
Okay.
How far away is it from the edge of your chair
Mm-hmm.
to the door?
To the door.
To the door frame.
To the door frame. And, okay.
Come on, man. Everybody's watching.
145.
145. All right. So when we finish this episode, I'm going to measure that and let you know if Quirk was right or wrong on the vault once we get up from this.
Mm-hmm.
I'm betting that he's not. Want to bet on something?
You try and guess how far it is.
37 feet. I don't know.
37 feet!
Reach your general contractor. 37 feet.
He never said he was good.
Always overestimate.
I'm glad we're
Finish
on
your
topic.
story. Finish your story.
Okay, I'm just checking to make sure I have time to finish my story. So anyway, I guess 124, measures it exactly 124. Was like, wow, that's amazing. And they never questioned my measurements again.
So you got one lucky guess that you're able to cheat your opponent for the rest of the day.
Yep.
I apologize for Quirk, the guest who had to go through that.
This is turning into just you guys confessing how you cheat.
Yeah.
I move buildings out of the way so my tank fits through. I do one amazing magic trick, and they just believe I know distances.
At least, okay, everything we do is caught on camera. We don't play. We don't play any games off camera. I mean, the game we played, we were playing just to learn some armies
just a
and
fun
refresh
game.
on the rules. But then the second you go start to play a game, it's like, I better record it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Also, it feels like a waste. So every game that we play, you guys get to see. So you get to see all of our mistakes, all of our flaws. It's
All of
there.
our Lunas have 2 wounds. I'm never going to live that down.
All right, guys, we're going to go in the vault right now and talk about some more gaming etiquette and some other things that are on our mind right now because there's a lot going on. If you're already a Vault member, click the link below and get yourself a 7-day free trial. Watch the next part of the episode here. And watch all the extra battle reports and painting tips from Chris. Tons of stuff from the Vault, and we can't do this or anything else we do here without the Vault members. Thanks for watching, guys. And happy wargaming.